Thank you so much, Jim, for having us here at the Kentucky Reptile Zoo. This has been an incredible experience for us here at Scaly Adventures. I actually had a couple of questions that I was going to ask you. One of the biggest things that Tanya and I work with people is overcoming fear. And as we saw from the footage earlier, you obviously have had to overcome a certain amount of anxiety, at least at some point in your life, to be able to wrangle some of these snakes. How do you do that, or how did you face that every day?
That's kind of actually that's a hard question, because I don't know. You know, my mom always said she'd drop me on my head, but I have not had I was one of those inquisitive kids that always got into stuff, and you know, I started into martial arts when I was really young, and I can't remember a time when I ever thought that I was afraid of anything. Now that doesn't mean that I'm not. You have to be a fool to not be afraid. Mm-hmm. You have to respect things and have an intellectual fear, but not a fear that stymies your ability to react. Mm-hmm. I've always found that if I'm afraid of something, or if I let my emotions get too involved, then I don't react properly, and then I get hurt. So I've kind of just learned to control them to that point. You know, I'm not always real good at that. You know, it's like if I'm walking, I'll trip. Mm-hmm. But if I'm working the animals, I move fluidly. Or if I'm doing martial arts, I move fluidly. But if I'm just walking, I trip. I'm a klutz.
So it's much more about building a routine and getting, like in the Army, we used to call it babble drills.
Right.
Constant, to the point where when you have a situation like I saw where the cobra would hit the floor,
right,
you kept your cool. Right. Let me get this animal. It wasn't, oh, wow.
Right. Well, it is. It's very much like when we went through firearms training, when I went through SWAT training and stuff. And you know, you're trained, you react how you're trained, and that's how you know, that's basically it. You hopefully will train yourself so that you react properly, and that's how we go through the training with the snake bite protocol and stuff. Mm-hmm. Is that, you know, we know the outcome can be bad, but the outcome is definitely going to be bad if we don't react properly. You know, you have to go through the motions. You have to do it appropriately, and as long as you know you did everything you could possibly do.
Right.
You know, I always tell everybody, I said, you know, as long as you did everything as possible, there's always a possibility I won't come back.
So there's kind of an element of self-forgiveness in there, like you had said earlier, maybe off camera, I can't remember, but about, you know, when you said, I've been bit before, and you say, well, I screwed up.
Right.
And rather than self-flagellate, you have to say, I'm going to accept it happened, but I'm going to put checks in place.
The one thing that does bother me, I'm probably going to be remembered for how many times I screwed up and not how many times I did it right. And I've done it more times right than I've ever done it wrong. But in people's minds, they're always fascinated with the time you did it wrong, because that's the most horrific part of it. And you know, and I do understand that, and that's why I address it when I talk to people, and I don't get upset about people asking that question. But it is in the back of my mind. You know, when I finally, you know, meet my maker or whatever, you know, I don't want to just be remembered because I got bit. You know, right. I want to be remembered because I contributed something. So, but you know, it is something where you have to be focused. You have to be aware that the end result can be horrific. You could die. Mm-hmm. But you know, in the end of the day, everybody eventually is going to die. Yes. You know, nobody lives forever, and while you're here, you do what you can do. One of my martial arts instructors looked at me one time. He says, "You live to die," and I didn't understand him. I thought, you know, that's kind of a weird thing to say, and I think now, but I may not totally understand, but I think now it's what you do while you're living that's important. It's not once you're dead. It's, you know, that's it.
I was watching a special with Afghan soldiers, or American soldiers in Afghanistan. Mm-hmm. They expressed a very similar mentality. The guy said, when I came in country, about 2 months into it, I had to say to myself, I'm already dead. Mm-hmm. If I leave here, then that's great. But once you accept the fact that you're dead, going through day to day, dealing with death-defying circumstances makes it so much easier to keep that clear head.
Right, and you have to be able to think. If you can't think, you're not going to react. So,
yeah.
And
Very
you know,
samurai thing.
Absolutely.
Already dead thing. That's the
yeah.
samurai.
You know, it's very Bushido. It is. You know, the 5 Rings. It's a very good book. If you haven't read it, read it.
I'll put that on my list.
Yeah, it's basically, if you get the interpreted version, it's sometimes when they interpret stuff from a foreign language, you don't get the full gist of it. But you know, basically, it says in there, it talks about, you know, each day you wake, you're already dead. You're prepared, you know, to face life as a death person, and so you're not afraid of death.
Well, I think so many people would live a much richer life if indeed they embrace the fact of saying, I'm not going to worry about how many times I screw up today. I'm going to worry about how many good things I can accomplish. I think so many people are so worried about failure that they never truly live.
Well, it's also like when I was saying in there when we were extracting and stuff, you know, if it looks exciting, it means I screwed up. You know, because to me, if everything goes smoothly, it's not exciting.
True.
It's repetitive, and it's very, very much almost mechanical. And people who've watched me do it have said that it looks mechanical. And and like I said, I could teach a monkey to do it, but I can't teach a monkey to do the things that have to happen if you have a mistake happen.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, Jim, it has been a privilege to be with you today. I first of all want to thank you for your work, because there aren't many people out there in the world who do what you do. I can't even imagine the countless lives that you've saved, and it's because of your discipline and your mindset and your self-sacrifice that there are probably countless people around the world who owe themselves their lives to you and the work you do here at the Kentucky Reptile Zoo. And I want to thank you personally for your work, and thank you for taking your time with us today. Thank you so much.